Hello, my name is Ian Tyndale. Welcome to Our Robot Future. This episode, Epistemology, don't you know? How do we know what we know? How do we know if we know what we know? How do we know how we know what we know, if you know what I mean? I don't know. I know that. There are limits to what anyone or anything can know, or it would already be immediately known with minimal process of discovery. Instead, what exists is the possibility of all possible knowledge, and not always the recognized knowledge itself. If two people know a thing or a process, does that mean that there are two knowledges, or one knowledge that both have access to, or one knowledge that each have individually reconstructed as models? There doesn't need to be billions of replicated units of knowledge that the sun comes up over here and goes down over that way every day. We all know it. Probably animals even know it. The knowledge is a singleton. It exists without us, rather than only being an independent copy that each of us has. A person who misunderstands something has an inaccurate copy of the possible true knowledge of that thing. That copy is theirs, and possibly nobody else shares that distorted copy, but given time and further information, their copy trends towards the singular knowledge out there. Take a scientifically minded, critically thinking person who prefers to think in facts rather than belief. They may easily fall into the trap of being compelled to always explain everything. In conversation, it's of value to have an explanation, preferably a satisfactory one, for anything. It's almost a sign of social and intellectual failure to leave a facet or aspect of a topic under discussion without an answer. We will strive to have an answer, find an answer, fill in the gaps and satisfy the vacuum. Then everyone can exclaim, "Ah, so that's why," or "Oh, that's interesting," just to express relief from the excruciating tension. You see, being a modern, critical, Enlightenment thinking human being with an unexplained hole in our knowledge is uncomfortable. We're supposed to have a scientific explanation for the world around us. If we don't have an explanation for something, there's always the danger that some stupid fairy story or fictional belief will creep in and fill the hole, and this would disqualify us from membership of our modern thinking club. Any rational, critical thinking person who understands reality and appreciates that fiction is other than reality should also learn to say no, or more accurately, I don't know. There are lots of things we don't know. There are lots of things we cannot know. The possibility for a problem to arise and also for solutions to exist may be within the possibility horizon. Perhaps the time is not correct, and the sequence of events thus far neither exposes a problem nor reveals a solution. It's okay to be a grown-up rational adult with your normal, modern, critical thinking, factual, enlightenment-aware scientific outlook, and also admit to not knowing something, or even lots of things. What is the harm in having a gap and letting everyone know about it? What would be the alternative? Making something up and pretending that you know when you don't? Filling the gap with fiction and belief? Lying about it to yourself and everyone else? Better to just own up and say, I don't know. Your knowledge of reality can never be complete, but if it's diluted with fictional belief and you can't tell the difference, then you are at a disadvantage. In school we learned maths, and in maths we learned algebra, and in algebra we learned about x. Is x a number? How much is x? What does x equal? We don't know. We didn't need to imagine or invent a fairy story or listen to superstitious folklore to appreciate x. We don't initially need to know what x equals in order to understand the overall problem. Eventually we may come to understand what x equals. In the meantime, we just acknowledge that we don't know yet, but with progress we'll know later. Our rational knowledge can be like that. In the mid-1800s, the furthest planet in the known solar system was Uranus. The orbit of Uranus was suspiciously wobbly, so using principles of mechanics, astronomers predicted the existence of a further planet. By deduction, the position of Neptune was revealed, yet Uranus still showed small orbital disturbances unexplained by Neptune alone, so the search was on for a smaller planet X. Calculations of the likely cause of the disturbance suggested a body of a specific size and area of the sky. Sure enough, laborious photographic comparison eventually revealed what came to be known as Pluto. This has been Epistemology, don't you know? This episode of Our Robot Future, brought to you by myself, Ian Tyndale. I hope you've been enjoying it so far. Thank you very much. Goodbye.